right, good evening. It is Tuesday, May 20th at 6:03 p.m. And I am calling this meeting of the National Board of Education Policy Committee to order. Tonight we have myself, Heather Raymond, and we have Ms. Lampier.
Hi.
Two makes a quorum.
Sorry, didn't mean to throw you off.
And we're a fun bunch tonight. We also have Mr. Pasca, and we have Mr. Rodriguez, our director of, is it director of IT, or do you have a different title now?
Director of Technology.
Director of Technology, here to talk to us about data governance tonight, so that's exciting. So we have a big agenda, but I think a lot of these policies are not going to take a long time. But what will take a long time is the data governance plan review. And so we have a policy, I don't know if I wrote down the name of the policy.
EHAB.
EHAB, which is our data governance policy. And it says that the Board of Ed Policy Committee has to review any changes to the plan before it is adopted by the full board. And we have to do quite a bit of that work in non-public because it's about cybersecurity and making sure that we're protecting our students' data. Is there anything else we can say about it publicly before we review it in non-public? I'm looking at Mr. Rodriguez or Mr. Pasca. No?
I mean, I think it's our internal game plan of how we're going to address situations as they arise. So it's why there's a need to go into non-public to discuss it. I think, as we get into it, Mr. Rodriguez will, when I met with Mr. Rodriguez to discuss it further, I think, he would explain something and then I would say something in layman's terms, is this what it means? And he would either confirm or deny that to go forward. So there are some technical aspects that I think Mr. Rodriguez will break down for us once we get into non-public, but it is kind of high level as far as what it is we're doing. And if you don't have that background, I think it's a kind of learning curve to get used to that.
Yep, and I anticipate that we will have some questions about, I can remember in the past, Mr. Rodriguez talking to us about switches and having to ask what a switch was, because so there's a learning curve.
Absolutely.
All right, so with that, I will make a motion to enter non-public session under RSA 91A32I, consideration of matters relating to the preparation for and carrying out of emergency functions. And then the rest of that talks about including local acts that are directly intended to thwart a deliberate act that is intended to result in widespread or severe damage to property, which would be, for example, a cyber attack.
Second.
Thank you. Oh, you know what? I have to switch. I haven't done a non-public template in a very long time.
I'm so excited I don't have to do it.
5:20. So I'm the record taker. Oh, I needed to do a roll call for that too. So Heather is here. Regan is here. Where are you? Oh, you're in front of me. All right, so we are going in under RSA A32I. Ms. Lampier, yes or no?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, and so we are in non-public as of 6:07 p.m. All right, great. Thank you so much. It is 6:35 p.m. Hold on, we went into non-public at 6:07. It is now 6:35, and we are back in public. And I need to make a motion to seal the minutes under, I'm going to say RSA 91A32, render a proposed action ineffective.
Okay.
Will you second?
Second. Yes. Sorry, I forgot what I was supposed to do. But yes,
Okay.
second.
At 6:35. All right. So I'm a yes.
Yes.
All right, so that's passed, and then we're not adjourning, so we go back to our previous one. Do I need to send the data governance review to the full board to approve it? I'm asking Mr. Posca because he knows. Oh, I should also say for the camera that I called Dr. Rodriguez Mr. Rodriguez, but in fact, he got his doctorate, and so he should have credit for that. So my apologies to Dr. Rodriguez.
Based upon the policy, I think we have to document the fact that we have reviewed and discussed the changes in the data governance plan, and that, and then based upon that, I think based upon what the policy committee has decided, that we're in agreement with the adjustments that made to the data governance plan.
All right, so I'm gonna move that we advise the full board that we've reviewed the data. Sorry, I'm talking and writing the same. We've reviewed the data governance plan, and we recommend approval of the changes.
Second.
Updates, I'm gonna say updates. We recommend approving updates.
Second.
Okay, one is me. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And good luck to Ms. Kinsella as she tries to write that up. Okay. So now we have our regular updates for policies. And a lot of these were due for review because it had been more than 4 years since they were reviewed last, but several don't have a lot of changes. So I don't think it's going to take us too long.
Excellent.
All right, so the first one is oh, I've written it down wrong. IHBH, right?
Correct.
Which is extended learning opportunities. And so administration has reviewed this policy, and we are still doing it essentially the same way as we have been since it was last reviewed in 2015. So they're recommending no changes. And this is the one, oh, I always get this one and the other one confused, and I didn't write it down carefully. So this is one where students are able to have a different educational opportunity that is outside of the building.
It could be outside the building, it could be within the building, but it's certainly usually unique to that individual student. At times, they might ask for a staff member to help oversee and monitor their progress with that activity or with that initiative. Oftentimes, this occurs during our E-block at our high schools. So it's an opportunity for students to experience something that of their own choosing.
Okay.
Am I seconding?
Oh, I didn't make a motion. The motion is to recommend that we keep IHBH as is.
Second.
Okay.
I did have a question, though.
Yes.
So my question is, with the ELOs and with the alternative credit, does the school have any obligation or the same obligations of contacting the parents if something is not going right with the program and the kids aren't being successful? Because I wasn't sure how that was handled.
I think it's a good question, and just want to, they are two separate things for the most part, Not all ELOs are taken for credit. Some might be taken for personal growth. I think when there are, when some of these activities or initiatives are taken for granted, just be like, say, an English class, and, Matt Posca's not doing very well in English class, I think there is an obligation to let Mr. and Mrs. Posca know that Matt's not making effective progress, so that communication has to be part of that.
Okay.
And I know that in both policies, the ELOs and the alternative learning ones the parent has to sign the permission slip for them to start anyways.
Wait,
You
yeah,
can't just sign up for it without your parent saying yes.
I know that they have to sign for it. I was just concerned that, like, we could have kids that just weren't following through any of their assignments or anything like that. And I didn't know if, like, if someone's failing, even if someone's failing a history class or something in high school, do we alert the parents in
Oh, yes.
between, like, would we do the same thing with the alternative credit, or?
The alternative is much different, and there is parent sign-off on that, in order to take an alternative learning plan. So there's a lot more parent involvement in that. This is usually the extended learning opportunities are that, they're an extension of that learning opportunity. It might be, maybe, I can't think of one off the top. Let's say, I was taking a history class, but I'm really interested in this aspect of the state government, and I wanted to, work with one of our state reps to get a better understanding of that, and I was gonna have one of my history teachers set that opportunity up. So it's an
Okay.
extension of that opportunity. Maybe they're having someone to come in and talk to them, maybe they're doing some research. So a little bit different flavor for the extended learning opportunity than the alternative learning plan, which is all about earning the credits towards graduation, towards a diploma.
So the ELOs, you could get credits for them, but not necessarily.
That's correct.
And the ELOs are a pass-fail. You're not going to get an A or
That's
anything.
correct.
You're either going to pass it or you're going to fail it.
Okay.
So it's not going to impact your GPA. Okay. So let's approve the ELO one, and then we'll talk about alternative learning plans.
Okay.
All right, so all in favor of keeping IHBH as is, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so 2. All right, and then the alternative learning plans, which we also don't have any changes, are for our students who are taking a VLAX class or otherwise taking a class outside of the regular system, or did I get that confused again?
No, it could be a variety of different things of why a student it might be on an alternative learning plan. I think maybe there was, you mentioned VLAX, which is a great, great example. Maybe there's a situation where a student is not, maybe a student is an athlete and is on a shortened day because of practices, and they're taking some type of, class online or virtually in order to, and then as a plan has been put into place for that. So that would be another example of what it is, of what that could be, consist of. That's why, to Ms. Lanfear's point, that's why with this plan, there is more parent and guardian involvement of what's going on, because we're developing a whole plan of why this is occurring, and there has to be buy-in from all stakeholders as we put this plan together.
Okay.
So I've had kids in my own family, take like a VLAX class, for example. And it really varied on the instructor, how much parental involvement there was. Like, I know my child has had teachers who, he had to go like a week or 2 without doing any of the work before they would let me know that the work wasn't done. And then I had other ones being like, hey, he's missed an assignment, let's go. So,
All right, that's good that there's a lot of contact.
but I never had a circumstance where no one told me anything.
Okay.
So on,
Would Brentwood count as an alternative learning plan? No, okay.
Would not.
because that's still us, right?
That is right.
What about the Clearway alternative school? Or is that different because it's kind of like a charter, sort of?
It is, they have their own processes. How can we explain it? It certainly, it has some, does fall a little bit under the umbrella of the Nashua School District, but they do have their own criteria for grading, how they're awarding credit.
Okay. Do we ever have students who are taking particular classes outside of our school district? So I know we have kids who, like, for example, go to Oliver and to take vet tech.
Sure.
Like, that's pretty common. But do we ever have kids who go to, I don't know, like Sauhegan or Hollis Brookline to take a specific class that we don't offer, or vice versa?
Not usually, not that I'm aware of. I think, if anything, we, might get into, the next level would be some type of dual enrollment, which would be a different scenario, but,
I think we have a policy for that too.
exactly. But I think one of the things that we're fortunate here in Nashua is we are able to accommodate and provide these classes for our students within our own umbrella or in our own domain. So we don't really have to, again, do have the connection with the CTE where we're offering programs, other districts are offering programs, and we have seats available. That's a little bit different than this plan here.
Okay, right, just to, not to toot our own horn a little bit, but we have the most AP classes in the state. We tie with Wyndham, which is really amazing. And we have the biggest CTE program in the state, so I feel like at the high school level,
Yeah, we do pretty good.
we're meeting kids wherever they are and helping them to find their interests and talents, which I think is great. All right, so I'm going to recommend that we move IHBI to the full board without changes.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and then we wanted to keep the application as well, which is really just a very short form that says, I'm going to do this.
That's exactly right. We recommending keep that as is so we can continue to utilize that for documentation process.
Oh, I have another question about this. So, and I think I mentioned it, back when I was a social worker, I had a kid who was very ill and was in the hospital for several months. And so back then, this was pre-Google Classroom, I would come and pick up their coursework for them, drive it to Boston, drop it off, and pick up their completed packet from the week before. And this was just a Monday, Friday kind of thing that I did. Are those alternative learning plans, or is that something else entirely? I think in this particular students, we ended up doing like a 504 or something, but
I think as you can see, when you look at IHBI, there is some documentation about whether the student's on an IEP or a 504, because I think that also changes what supports may or may not have to be put into place. But in that situation, that could be considered an alternative learning plan of how they're trying to access school and gain credits to gain towards their diploma.
right, so that, it was really cool. I can't say enough good things about the team here at the time, because they kept the student from losing time while they were getting healthy, so, which is fantastic. All right, so I move that we do IHBI-R to the full board. Oh, hold on, I wrote it in a way that no one else will be able to read. Full board without changes.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, now we're at advanced coursework change. IHCD, Advanced Coursework, Advanced Placement Courses. So these are our AP classes. And then is this also our classes where you can go to the community colleges?
That's correct.
Okay, so I noticed that we are recommending kind of crossing out everything we had before and replacing it with the New Hampshire School Board's recommended language. Is that because there was a legal change or just because their language was superior?
I think just very subtle changes. I think that the NHSBA was recently revised in 2021. Ours hadn't been looked at since 2018. In comparing both documents, the meat and potatoes of the policy were exactly the same. I think the updated policy was much better organized and set up. So what we've tried to do in the last couple of years, when we've had some of these policies that come up, we tried to align them more with how the NHSBA writes them. It makes it a little bit easier for all of us going forward when we're looking at it and comparing them going forward. So really, there's nothing really of substance to talk about as any changes in the policy. It's more just the way it's organized.
Okay.
Do we still, at the last line, it says, said how this correlates with the career readiness credential under board policy IKFG. I just wanted to make sure we have that policy.
I think we do. Hold on.
Just check that.
Sorry, I didn't think to look.
No, that's all right.
And I knew it would take me a long time, and you guys are much faster.
See, it's a race. It's a race between Mr. Posca and I.
It really, now it's a competition.
See if my ancient laptop is up for the challenge. Usually I look these things up, and then I didn't this time. IKFG.
IKFG.
Oh, you know what? We don't have that policy. So that is a good catch.
Thank you.
So I kind of feel like maybe we hold on this one until we look up that policy and bring it, or decide we don't need it and cross it out. So that's what I'm going to write on this one. I'm just going to write hold. I'm going to write the whole thing. Hold to look up related IKFG. Oh, I'm so disappointed in myself. Usually Mr. Posca and I catch these things.
Well, I mean, there was so much more reading than usual this week.
Yeah.
If you were trying to understand the data governance policy, then you weren't going to be doing much of anything else.
All right. So I've made a note to Ms. Kinsella that says we're going to hold to look up oh, that doesn't sound, I can't even read it myself. The related policy IKFG, because we don't have it and it's referenced in the NHSBA version. Okay. So the next one is IMBA, which is online education. And there is an update to this one, which comes from the New Hampshire School Boards Association and the Ed 206.22F. And basically that says that if you're taking an online course and you're not making progress, then your approval to continue to take online courses might be rescinded by the district. So for those VLAX classes where it's supposed to take 6 months and it's been, 13 months and you're just kind of spinning your wheels, maybe we need those kids to come back into the classroom.
Yeah, I think that's a really good addition to the policy.
So, and maybe there's a reason too, like maybe it's taking them 13 months because they're in a situation where they're dealing with an extreme medical issue or something.
Yeah.
But I think those are the times when we need to have those face-to-face visits between the family of the student and the school district.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So I thought it was a good change. All right, so any other questions on that one?
No.
I know a lot of kids that do, including my own child, who like to take a VLAX class over the summer.
And when they take the VLAX classes, do you have to pay for it, or is it just?
Not typically, no.
No.
Excellent, that's good.
But like my particular student likes to take AP classes, and a lot of them take the whole year. And those you do have to pay for the test unless you qualify for a reduction. So in order to do that, he takes like gym over the summer.
You can take gym over the computer?
Yeah, you can take gym over the computer, which I hate.
That just seems kind of funny to me, but okay.
To be honest, but throwing my son's information out there, but he's a runner, so he's the cross-country team. The spring track team continues voluntary practices up until the end of school, even though competition has ended.
Oh.
And then the cross-country team starts voluntary practices around the 4th of July.
Wow.
Because they have these amazing coaches who want to come here at 8 a.m. every day when they don't have to. I don't know.
Come here too, right? To drop them off.
So, which is, I can't say enough good things about some of the staff that we have. So then my son can use the running that he's doing anyways as credit in the online.
Can any kid that would be interested in taking gym over the summer on the computer do that, or would that be something they would need permission to do?
So they do need permission from the school and their parents.
Okay.
The next one is the form to apply. So in my personal experience, my son has gotten this form from his guidance counselor.
Okay.
He's brought it home to us. We've had a conversation about how stupid I think it is. And then I sign it.
Okay.
Because part of it is letting go, right?
Yeah.
And then he brings it back and I'll have to look at the form again. Someone here at the school has to approve it. So at some point, they could say no. Like, the counselor could be like, no, last time it took you 18 months to finish gym online, right?
Okay.
Which is fine. So, all right, so I'm going to go back up a little bit. I move that we approve IMBA online education as amended and send it to the full board.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And so the next one is the form, and I understand, Mr. Posca, that the form is still working well.
That's correct.
And I see on the form, it said, where'd it go? I just scrolled too far. It says on the form, if there is a denial by the school counselor, that there has to be a reason for it. And it says in the policy that the parents can appeal that. So it's not a final say.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to move that from that one to the full board without changes.
I'll second.
Okay.
Excuse me.
You sound like you have a question.
I did notice, just because I was scrolling through right now, at the bottom of the form, there's a quote from Pop's IMBA. Sorry.
That's okay. No, and I think that's still correct. I think we need to get rid of the word pops.
Okay.
I'm going to say full board, remove word POPPS. That's what we used to call the policies.
Yeah, I remember
I don't
seeing
know
that.
what it stands for from fine print. All right, so I'm amending my, my motion to say that we're going to send it to the full board with that one little fine print word removed.
Second.
Okay. And then, Mr. Presco, would you like a?
If you're, thank you.
I have mints, like an
was
old
just
lady
wondering-
with my little candy bag.
I was just wondering if we
Thank you.
could send Mr. Posca home and finish just the two of us. I've never seen anybody do that before.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, so 2-0. We only have one more, and then I have one more thing.
Okay.
All right, so policy IMBC, which is alternative credit options. We have struck the whole thing, and then we're recommending that we adopt the New Hampshire School Board Association version. Ours is 10 years old. How old was the school board version one? Was it
2021.
2021? So there's some new Department of Education rules. There are some other things in there that needed to be updated to match that. But the end of the day, the essential expectations are the same, which is that there are other ways that you can get credit. And sometimes that credit can be applied towards graduation requirements, but that there has to be, it has to meet certain criteria about, that it has to be able to be graded for competency, that there must be performance expectations, that there's assessments happening. Is this the one that kind of covers the Learn Everywhere opportunities?
Correct.
Okay, which was something that Commissioner Elderbut rolled out a few years ago. So theoretically, someone could do a Learn Everywhere type internship, like say they were interested in STEM at an engineering company. But this lays out that you need to have some sort of metric for assessing what they're learning as a result of it, and that it's not just an unpaid internship. It has to be a learning opportunity.
Additionally, how it connects to any of the competencies. So in addition, the high school can give credit if a student is working. So they can give work credit there, and there's some forms. Again, they fill out this form, and the school works with the student to demonstrate what competencies have been exhibited, so they can provide them potential credit for their work offering.
That's cool.
I noticed that it has, it says the board encourages increased educational options for hospitalized or homebound students, dropouts, suspended, blah, blah, blah. And then down at the bottom, it says, unless otherwise recommended by the superintendent and approved by the board under ordinary circumstances, student or their parent guardians are responsible for all related expenses, including tuition and textbooks. Does that mean that if a student is hospitalized or homebound and they decide to take one of these alternative credit options, that they'd be responsible for any books or anything?
I don't think that that would qualify as an ordinary circumstance.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
To
of
me,
course.
if you're in the hospital, that's an extraordinary circumstance.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure.
But if, for example, you're a tennis phenom and you want to go to tennis camp during, the time and you're getting a tutor, I think that that's a circumstance where, in order for the district to pay for it, we would want the superintendent to review it and we'd want it to come before the board to vote on it.
Okay, all right, that makes sense.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And we may say yes, I don't know. I think it depends on the individual circumstances.
Yeah,
But the board can't afford to send every student who wants to,
yeah, of course.
hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of stuff.
Yeah.
As much as we would love to just have tons of money to do all that stuff. Okay. Does this also cover middle schoolers who are taking higher level classes? Or is that more the previous one for advanced coursework?
It's more the previous one, because those are kind of taking high school courses in middle school.
In middle school, okay. All right, so I move that we approve, move to send IMBC to the full board as amended.
Second.
Okay. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't make a note to myself about the one that we are holding. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And then the one that we're holding was
IHCD.
IHCD. Okay. Because I'm going to forget, and we're going to get it back next month, and I'm going to be like, I don't know.
The,
'Cause I wrote the note to someone else.
the next one, the last one.
Yep.
It has a lot of references to the Adult Learning Center, the Nashua Adult and Community School. They probably need to be changed because we have the new name.
Oh, you are right. The new name is the Nashua Center for Lifelong Learning. So I would say that we change under the parameters under which credit will be granted to the Nashua Adult and Community School, that we change the reference from Nashua Adult and Community School to the Nashua Center for Lifelong Learning.
I'm sorry, where is that again?
It's IMBCR, the
Oh,
last
R,
policy.
okay.
The last one, sorry, we moved on.
Nope. Gotcha.
Oh, good catch.
Thanks. I have got new glasses, that's probably why.
Okay. And then there's the application. So throughout here, we want to make sure that it is correct.
We want to reference NCLL, yep.
Yep. This is interesting. You can only get 8 credits through alternative credit options, which is 1 full year. Do you think there are ever any exceptions to that for circumstances where, for example, a child is ill or in the hospital? Or I'm thinking about sometimes we have kids who are placed outside of here, like at Hampstead Hospital or something, that could take an extended amount of time.
I think there's always exceptions to the rules. I think it's also about working through the plan. What is the long-term plan? Is it the long-term plan to come back? You know, some of those settings also provide education opportunities. So are those settings providing credits and access at that time, and we're accepting those credits? So I think it's a kind of a, you know, as we discussed before, it's kind of what is the major plan? What is the concern? How do we address that? And I think all of these provide opportunities to address some of those situations as they arise. So we're not just, you know, kind of saying we don't know what to do. We have options to talk about and to put on the table to discuss.
Okay. I mean, I think that's good. I think, I just think it's good that we're flexible for kids in a whole bunch of different situations.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, we want everyone to be able to be here and with their peers and learning, but sometimes that can't happen.
Yeah.
All right, so I move that we send IMBCR to the full board with the change that we discussed about the Center for Lifelong Learning.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so that's all we have for tonight.
Ms. Raymond, if I could just comment, I just want to recognize Mr. Richards and Mr. Burns, who provided a lot of input regarding a lot of those policies. You know, obviously, one of their strengths is working with all of our students, and so I asked them for some insight in that, and they were able to provide me some of the input and help make these recommendations. So I just want to recognize their input in tonight's work.
All right, great, thank you so much to them.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so next time, we will bring back IHCD with the changes. The other thing we need to talk about in June, and our meeting in June is late because of graduations. So our meeting in June is June 17, which is the last day of school. And conveniently, the House and Senate have passed HB 781. I brought a copy, I just printed it off the internet, so anyone can get it if they Google it. Which is
Oh, no.
the cell phone use, cell phone free education bill. It's currently on Governor Ayotte's desk. She's indicated that she's likely to sign it. So I've asked Mr. Posca if she does sign it, it's going to go into effect July 1st.
Okay.
Which is super fast. So I've asked Mr. Posca if we can use our June meeting as a work session on a cell phone policy. And I understand that there is a work group internally through the district that has been expecting this and working on things and getting teacher input.
Will they come to talk to us?
I hope so.
Our goal,
I hope someone comes to talk to us.
certainly, I think there's a lot of passion behind this initiative. We've been having some ongoing meetings. I think to Ms. Raymond's point, there was some anticipation that this bill would be forthcoming. So now it's a matter of working. You know, we have a group of teachers and administrators from all three levels to try to address this. So I think there's certainly support and consensus for putting some type of policy in place. I think there's also maybe some talk about, what does that look like at each level, elementary, middle school, and high school?
It
And
probably
then,
should be different.
so subtle differences, and then also talking about, the reason behind it. I think, Governor Ayotte has talked a lot about, I believe, the science behind it, the mental health piece, and kind of making sure our students have, less screen time. And I think from our standpoint, it's the opportunity to protect the classroom and to protect the classroom instruction, and let not only our students but our staff focus on that instruction as opposed to what's going on the cell phone. That doesn't prohibit at times the use of a cell phone if it's used for instructional purposes, because there are times we can utilize that. But I certainly think we need to, much like many other states, are putting into some parameters of how we're going to limit that as we go forward.
Yeah, so like I said, I printed out HB 781. This is the exact version that is on Governor Ayotte's desk, and I'm going to put it in the book here for Ms. Kinsella to include it in our packet next time, or even, she could put it in the minutes for this one because it'll be here for her. And I do encourage everybody out there, I'm going to mention it at our next school board meeting as well. Maybe I'll bring copies for everybody for that too. And I encourage people to come. I think we're going to set up our next policy meeting as a work session so that we can hear from people.
Okay,
Hopefully it won't be like an 8-hour work session. We'll have to see how much people have to say, because at the end of the day, whatever we do has to follow the law.
okay.
But I am interested in hearing the perspectives from staff and the perspectives from families and crafting something that makes sense for Nashua, instead of just making a blanket statement that we think is best. I don't think I'm the best driver for that.
Is there a chance that the state board of the New Hampshire School Board Association will have something written up in time so we can kind of think about that and see?
They do have a sample policy on cell phones. It sort of aligns with this.
Okay,
I can get it if we want to have it for reference. It's really easy to do.
okay,
And the State Department of Education will likely come out with guidance. But like what happened with restraint and seclusions, the State Department guidance came out like 6 months after
Yeah.
we needed to have it in place. And I really want to have something, if we talk about it in June, that gets it to, we only have one meeting each month in the summer. So July, August, before the board can approve it. And I really want something to be able to go out to families before the first day of school,
okay,
so that parents know what to expect.
yeah.
Because it's hard to partner with them if we don't tell them
Yeah,
what the new rules are.
I think to that point, I think this group has been working on this since the fall. So there has been a lot of discussion on this. And I think to Ms. Raymond's point, I think it's really about communicating this message to our students and families that this is forthcoming. I don't anticipate major, pushback at the elementary or middle school level. I think it will be a change in practice at the high school where it's going to be major change. So I think we need to start communicating this as much as possible early so that people are aware of what's coming come September 1 when we return to school.
okay,
And I think, I have kids in the high school here, and there are teachers already who have very firm guidelines that you don't take your cell phone out during class. And my kids complain bitterly about it. And then there are other teachers who are less strict about it. And I think that, I think it's important for us to have a policy so that parents know what to expect, but also so that teachers who are making a change are able to articulate what support they need and have that in place before the school year starts.
I hope we have the support that teachers need.
Me too. So hopefully there'll be some recommendations coming,
Correct.
Okay.
because I don't know what that would be.
I mean, I used to fight with my son about his cell phone 100 years ago, and I always lost. So, I mean, I can't imagine fighting with like a whole classroom of kids about their cell phone.
All right, so,
Terrible.
right, so I don't lose, but I also don't want to, and I'll say this publicly, I don't want to put our teachers in a position where they are responsible for literally physically taking $1,000 pocket computer out of the hands of students and then being responsible for it for any length of time.
Yeah,
That would be teachers and administrators.
And just the liability there is really huge. So whatever we come up with, we need to be able to partner with families so that parents are the ones who are responsible for the $1,000 pocket computers and not
yeah,
district staff, because we can't, if something happens, heaven forbid, we can't afford to replace them. So we really need to have parents in the community on board with this so that we can have that discussion back and forth. If a cell phone is a problem for a particular student, we need the parents to understand, to be notified that that's happening. That's step one. The teacher has to be able to notify the parent, but then the parent to be able to work with the teacher to help their kid be successful.
yeah.
So, and honestly, I think a lot of parents and teachers are doing that now, but some might not be. So let's give them the most time and support we can.
Okay, sounds good.
So,
That'll be a big meeting.
yeah, I'm super looking forward to it. All right, that's all I've got. I just really wanted to plug the cell phone thing because it's a change for our district.
Okay.
All right, so I'll move to adjourn.
All right, second.
All All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, and at 7:15, we are adjourned.